My name is Peter Hjort. I'm coming from the junior resource company Bluelake Mineral. We're a Nordic company focusing on base metal projects, developing and also putting at least one mine in production within the next few years is our ambition. We've been going through a process of change. This company used to be called Nickel Mountain Resources. We used to have a Russian oil project which we have separated out, and we changed the name to Bluelake Mineral to signal that it's a change and that we're focusing on critical raw materials for the electrification process, primarily nickel and copper and zinc. So we have 3 divisions, 1 nickel, 1 copper and zinc, and 1 gold project in Finland, which we are planning to sell or partner with another company. So our focus going forward will be the nickel and the copper and zinc projects in Nickel Mountain and in Wilhelmina and Joma Gruvor. So I will talk a little bit about each project and their outlook, and then at the end I will also make a few comments on the permitting process, because that's one of the maybe the key risk in going forward with these projects is getting the permits in place. We think that the mineralizations are economically and environmentally sound and good projects. So actually the major risk is the permitting side. We think if we get the permits in place, we will get at least one mine in production within a few years. So looking at the copper and zinc projects, we can start by looking at copper and zinc as commodities. You probably know that copper is one of the most consumed metals in the world. It's actually the 3rd most consumed in the world, and the copper prices have developed tremendously well in the last 12 months, up almost 40%, and it has actually reached all-time high levels, above $10,000 per ton twice in the last 12 months. And the reason for this is, of course, there's a base demand in the infrastructure sector globally. But on top of that, copper is a unique metal with a capacity of transmitting heat and electricity, and it's critical for the production of electrical vehicles and many other electrification applications. So the overall outlook for copper is really good in the next years to come. When it comes to zinc, the price development has also been strong. Not as strong as copper, but more than 20% up in the last 12 months. Zinc, the base application and uses in the steel production. But on top of that, again, zinc is also interesting and a critical component in development of new battery technology. So outlook for zinc is also very good. The current price level is very good and high in a historical perspective. And for our projects, these price levels are very, very good. We will make a lot of money if this price level will be long-term sustainable. Even if they would drop 50%, we will still make money on this project. So we have a good cushion there and in terms of a margin when it comes to the commodity prices. And this is just one slide to support the future outlook of copper. I mean, obviously, development of electrical vehicles is one important driver. And at the bottom right, you see the content of copper in a traditional fossil fuel vehicle in comparison to an electrical vehicle is sometimes around 3 to 4 times more in an electrical vehicle. So this is one obvious and important driver in this demand for copper. Going into a little bit more about the description of our projects, we have a cluster of projects along the Swedish and Norwegian border. A few hours driving north of Östersund and Trondheim to give you more geographical location. The interesting thing is that we have projects on both sides of the border in Sweden and Norway, so we have pretty good insight in the permitting process in Sweden and in Norway, so we can compare what's the pros and cons in the permitting process in two countries. We actually made a strategic decision a few years ago that we would have the central operations, the processing plant and the tailings handling in Norway in a project called Joma, which is it's a brownfield situation with the previous mining in operation. And we did that instead of selecting Sweden because we thought that the Norwegian permitting process was more transparent, and we thought it was a higher likelihood that we at the end of the day would be getting the permits in Norway rather than in Sweden. So our ambition here is to get a mine operation in place and started in Joma, and then we will feed that process plant with ore coming from the other satellite projects in Sweden and Norway. The other key project in Sweden is Stekenjokk-Levi, where we have been fighting the authorities, I would almost say, for many years. But I think after having restructured the project, which I will get back to, I think we have a good chance to get it finally permitted. So in summary, we have around somewhere between 15 to 20 million tons of ore that we can use for production, and we can see a life of mine of at least 20 years when we get started. So I was saying this is a brownfield situation. There's a lot of that means that these are previous mines that have been in production. Both Joma and Stekenjokk were in production. Joma were in production between 1972 and 1998, and Stekenjokk was in production from 76 to 88. And the good thing about brownfield projects is that you know a lot about the history. You know that there is a mineralization that can be mined. You know from previous production history what types of recovery and what types of output you will get. Also, you know the potential cost structure and capex structure. So there's a lot of things in mining projects when you develop them. There's a lot of different risks here, and we're trying to focus down on projects that are as many known as possible, so that we can sort of isolate the risk to the major risk, which is the permitting process. Looking at Stekenjokk, as I said, this was a mine in operations in the 70s and 80s. It was operated by Boliden, which then produced roughly 7 million tons of ore with reasonably good grades, 1% copper, 3% zinc. There's good infrastructure in place. There's transportation roads which can hold 60-ton trucks to transport the ore from Stekenjokk, and there's electricity nearby. And there's also water. If we would have chosen to have a full-scale operation in Stekenjokk, we would have had the opportunity to create a tailings dam there. But as you will see now, we have decided to mine underground only in the winter time in order not to create any conflict with the local reindeer herders, and then transport that ore at those roads to Joma for the processing and tailings handling in Norway. And we think this particular strategic move is the reason why I think we're optimistic that we will finally get the permit in place. First the exploitation concession, and then later on the environmental permit. So the plan here is to as I said, the plan is to mine underground in the winter time from November, December up till April and May, when normally there's no reindeers in this area. I mean, Stekenjokk is at a high elevation of 800 meters above sea level. It's very cold and very, very windy, so the reindeers prefer to stick at lower levels in the wintertime. So we will mine underground, then we will transport ore, 60-ton trucks of ore south, and then west to Joma. It's actually it says it's 60 kilometers. We just made a recent review of that. It's actually 75 kilometers, but it's within trucking distance without destroying the profitability of the project. It's not a problem. And we will, according to our plans, we will run about 25 to 30 trucks of 60 tons transporting ore to Norway for the processing and tailings every day during the winter time. But no transportation, no mining activities in the spring, summer and early fall in order to coexist well with the reindeer herders. The Joma is also a brownfield situation, meaning that it was in production, as I said, in the 70s, 80s and 90s, where roughly 11 million tons of ore were mined. There's roughly 6 million tons of ore left, according to our recent estimates. As in Stekkjong, there's good infrastructure in place. We have good availability to hydropower energy at a very low cost, which is important. We have good access with roads. And a very specific item here, which is unique, is that we have several kilometers of mine workings, tunnels underground from previous operations, which we will be using to backfill with the tailings down in the ground. So we will not use any wet tailings, we will not use any land tailings, we will put it all down into the ground in the old tunnels. And this is a unique opportunity which will make this operation extremely environmentally friendly, because one of the key risks of mining is the tentative risk of water contamination. If you put the tailings, especially wet tailings, in water system, you can create contamination in the water system. So we will put it down in the ground where it will be least risk to create any environmental problems. Yeah, we have come far away. We're now in the planning and approval process of a zoning plan. That means that this property for mining activities in Norway we have applied to the local municipality in the municipality of Røyrvik that they will approve the zoning plan, which means that this will be an industrialized area for mining operations. One northern area where we will have the process plant and a temporary land-based tailings facility, and then a southern east one, which is a small open pit for the first 4 years of mining operations, and then we will go down for underground operations. So we have come a far way, and in this process we have, as Kurt said, we have had good collaboration with the municipality, with the local entrepreneurs, which could be suppliers of various services and products to our mining operations. Good dialogue and collaboration with the local reindeer herders, and also a good rapport with the landowners. Obviously, all the landowners which have property around this planned mining operation have quite a few remarks on whether or not they would like any mining operations. But at this stage, we have a good feeling that we will get this approved, and then we can move on to the environmental permitting stage. So as far as I can see, the Norwegian permitting process is relatively transparent, and you know what to do and which to talk to in order to get things in place. If and when we get this approved and up and running, we estimate that we could create about 165 jobs, 150 of them in Norway and 50 of them in Sweden. And on top of that, you will have the so-called multiplier effect. That means that sub-suppliers, subcontractors, transportation companies, building companies, etc., will also get jobs because of the mining operations. And there will also be a necessity for various services around. So maybe 2 to 3 times as many jobs could be created in this region, which is a huge important factor when thinking about the mining establishment. We have a team of people working with this project at an operational and board level. Obviously, we have some Swedes, some Norwegians, some Canadians, Americans, and other Europeans. It's a good team of people. A lot of people with long experience in mining operations, both geologists, mining engineers, people with financial background, etc. There's no single person that can start a mining operation. You need to be a team of a lot of skilled professionals and experts in various fields in order to get this off the ground. I could add all the people at the municipality level, etc., but then this picture would be full of people. But there's a lot of people involved to get a project like this off the ground. So when it comes to environment, this is obviously a very important topic, and we have had several meetings with the inhabitants of Röjvik Kommun, which is a small municipality with roughly 500 people, where this center of mining operation would be started in Norway. As I said, it used to be a mine in place there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, so people are used to mining activities. And I would say like 98% of people living there are pro getting the mining operation started here, for getting local jobs in place, training young people to become professional that can work in the mine or in other places, creating more financial income for at the local level, creating a future for this municipality, because people are moving away from this. They're moving to Trondheim and Oslo to find jobs. So in order to reverse this and get people to move back there and to raise their families and kids there, they need to have like a regional engine for development, which the mine could create this shift, which everyone realizes. The key aspect there is that, can you do this in an environmentally sustainable and friendly way? That's the key questions. And our answer is that we will, in various stages here, we will do everything we can to run this operation in a state-of-the-art way to avoid any environmental problems. And we have already started. We have invested around 500,000 without any legal necessity, but just to show them that we are here for the long term. We are serious and we mean what we're talking about. So we've invested in together with the municipality to take down some buildings from the previous mining operations that were hazardous for people living there, where you can fall into the ground in shafts and stuff. So we've taken them away and we cover them in a professional and secure way. So that's what we've done already, and that's been very, very appreciated by the municipality. Then when we go into the production, hopefully, of course, we have this unique opportunity to put the tailings down in the ground in the old tunnels, which is environmentally friendly and very unique situation. Then we'll use the water treatment system in the most professional state-of-the-art way. We will try to have as green operations as is technically possible. I mean, depending on where we are at the technology development, but our ambition is to have 100% electric fleet, which is non-fossil fuel. That's the ambition. But we need to, of course, find the suppliers and the setup that make that possible. And then at the end, at the time of the closure, when the mining life of mine is over, we need to have sufficient resources to take care of the mining operations, close it down in a professional and a sound way, so there's no contamination or any remnants left on the ground or in the ground that is not handled in a environmentally professional way. The third thing, which sort of touches on the discussion about the permitting, is the fact that from a global climate perspective, a local or regional mine producing copper and zinc in Norway is a very good alternative instead of importing the same quantities from other places around the globe. I mean, you can be sure that Swedish and Norwegian legislation and authorities are extremely on your back if you don't run this in a professional way from an environmentally friendly way. So this is much better than having to import the same quantities from other places like South America or Africa or wherever you have to go. And also the carbon dioxide footprint will be much less. I mean, you don't have to transport those quantities across the globe. You can produce it locally, and you can use it locally for the local or the European, say, transportation industry producing electric vehicles. They're going to need a lot of copper and a lot of zinc, and there's no way you can support this need by only recycling. You need to have new mines in production to produce that critical raw material. And so any copper mine that can be established and permitted in the Nordic region will be a huge benefit and contribution to the global environmental and climate crisis in a positive way. Okay, how am I doing on time?
3-4 minutes.
Okay, so wrapping up, I'll skip that picture, I think. Just a few words on the other projects before stopping. We have one more project that we will focus on and that we are currently examining how to go forward with. It's the Rönnbäcken nickel project in County of Västerbotten. This is a project that has been extremely well examined and developed. It's Europe's largest unexploited nickel project. And of course, nickel is extremely important input factor for the battery industry. If you look at a modern battery, you always talk about lithium batteries, but actually the major component is nickel. Nickel is the most important component of raw material going into new batteries that are being developed by Northvolt or other battery manufacturers. So, and one thing, talking to the battery manufacturers, one of their key aspects, of course, they want to buy the quantities at the right price, but they also want to have traceability and preferably they want to have European production of their raw materials. So all those boxes, if you can check them and you can get that project permitted, this project could be an extremely important project as in the industrial battery cluster being developing in Sweden and in the Nordic countries. So we think this project is very interesting from many different angles. And we're in the stage now of completing an updated preliminary economic assessment to see how we can further develop this project. But it's early stage, but it's got huge potential. So, yeah, skipping that. I won't talk anything about the gold project in Finland. It's an old mine also, but this is up for sale, so we're in the process of trying to sell this to another taker. We will focus on the base metals. Can I say a few words about the permitting? This is the final. Yes, this is the final slide before our roundtable discussions here with Tobias and the other guys from the other mining companies. There's many different perspectives on the permitting process, but a few, I would like to raise 3 items here. One is this aspect about local environment versus global climate. If you look at the current Swedish legislation, environmental legislation, Mineral Act, etc., and how it's being interpreted and implemented, the global climate aspect is subsequent or non-existent. Everything is completely focused on the local environmental issues. I mean, if there's any hazard to a specific plant or animal living in the vicinity of this plant mining operation, that's the only thing that has been considered. I mean, whether this is good for on a global climate scale or not, that's never discussed, but that should be the focus. I mean, if you're serious about this climate crisis. You need to take in that perspective in the evaluation process of those projects and see if it makes sense to permit or not permit. You have to have that thing in mind also when you do that study. The other point is the fact that the regional development and industry perspective is to a large extent missing. I mean, it depends a little bit. The county administrative boards have a very key role in the permitting process when they, especially at the time of the exploitation concession, you have to get them to approve the exploitation concession before the Swedish mining inspectorate can say yes at the end. And in the case of the county of Västerbotten, for instance, the regional and industry department of this county administrative board was spun out. It's not part of the organization anymore. So the only focus they have is the environmental perspective when deciding whether we should get the exploitation concession or not. There is no mention of which number of jobs can be created, what's going to be the regional development impact, etc. So those issues are left out of the discussion. Everything is focused around the single individual plants and birds and animals at that level. The final thing, intransparent and subjective process. Okay, sorry for my wording and sorry for being a little bit harsher, but I mean, I have one concrete example is that we have, when applying for the exploitation concession in Stekkjokk, there's two mineralizations, one northerly and one southerly. The southerly is going into the county of Jämtland and is starting in the county of Västerbotten. The county administrative board of Jämtland, they decided in 2017 that this is no problem. They would approve of a exploitation concession, whereas the county administrative board of Västerbotten has required a lot of extra, they could not approve it. We needed more investigations of this and that. So how can two county administrative boards come to completely different conclusions, reviewing exactly the same questions, exactly the same project? It has to do, I mean, in my view, there's a great room for a great deal of subjective interpretation and viewing at the level of the authorities and at individuals working in the authorities. And I think that's a thing that creates a lot of insecurity when you spend a lot of money to develop those projects. You need to know that it's being handled. There's a format. If you can check all the boxes and you can sort of more or less guarantee that this will be environmentally friendly, you should be able to get the permit. It shouldn't be up to individuals or groups of individuals at the authorities to give a go or no go. It's to as you say, it's not legally sound and safe in that perspective, I think. So that's my final word. Looking forward to the debate.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Bluelake Mineral. You don't need to answer this, but you get quite some followers, and we've been getting quite a few emails now and yesterday, and one of the questions might be for you, Tobias. How about all the approvals? Is there delays? Just to give some flavor on the debate and the urgent need for transparency. We'll drop that for now. Time is short. Another question is quite specific. How is your cash position? What's your runway till you need more money?
Okay, I can only refer to the financial report for the third quarter that was recently published. It states exactly what's the cash amount left in the bank at that time. After that, it will be like insider information. I can't give you the exact cash position today, but we have a good planning for the financial cash situation. We know what we're doing. We're not going to run out in cash without having secured more cash in time.
Yeah, and maybe this is the day when approval starts coming in. Another question is Rönnbäcken. You have some. Give a short answer. Sorry, but
Yep.
do you have a carbon capture potential there?
We think so. We have we're doing a sort of life cycle assessment of the project where we are trying to evaluate everything going out and everything coming out of the project through the life cycle of the project, from start of operation until closure of operation. One potential that we see that our consultancy is that we could actually have a carbon sequestration process in place, which means that we could actually have absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and become carbon dioxide positive in that aspect. Then you have to balance that vis-a-vis how's your fleet looking? Is it 100% electric or not? But it's a huge potential, we think, that we're evaluating.
Yeah. The emission rights are one-sided as of now, I think. There is no reverse side. If you absorb carbon dioxide, you get paid. But good.
Yep.
It might happen.
Yep.
You had a press release yesterday, 8:40, before the market opened, and I can guess from it was very technical. It was an update on the resources in Stekenjokk-Levi.
Yep.
When bad things happen at Ericsson, they tend to send it out Friday, 11 p.m. You sent it out yesterday, 8:40, so I guess it's good. But could you give us a headline? It was very technical. Was this
no, it was
good news?
It was a good release. We were happy with the result. We managed to confirm the availability of a good mineralization with good grades and good tonnage. It was along the lines of our expectations, or even better. So we were very happy.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bluelake Mineral.